Legion and staying there and doing all of this. Story is wonderful. But
Yes.
I'm so curious, when your church, St. Mary and St. Verena, was established, and why, we know of course why St. Mary, but why St. Verena is in the name?
Yes, we were very blessed. About 20 years ago, His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion proposed to have a church in northern Orange County. And His Eminence had a meeting at Archangel Michael, and I used to be a servant at the time for the youth at St. George Church, and a few other people that lived in the northern Orange County area. And His Eminence proposed for us to have a second church. At that time, it was only Archangel Michael in Orange County, Father Philemon, of course, the hegumen of that church. And after we were all delighted about the idea and excited about starting a new church, His Eminence proposed to call her Saint Verena. And all of us, almost, the majority of us, I can't say all, didn't know anything about Saint Verena. And His Eminence proceeded to tell us her story. And he told us about her story from his service in Switzerland, and how when he got there he was received by the Catholic monks, and he lived in the monastery with them, and he shared with them a lot of stories about Saint Verena, and that was the beginning. So we were very happy to have that name, and it has been a delight and a great blessing to all the congregation and the servants and the children of the church to have that name. And of course, in a few years, we were blessed to find a facility in Orange, and we purchased that church, and we named it the Saint Verena and the Three Holy Youth. And then we purchased another facility in Anaheim, and that became Saint Mary and Saint Verena.
That's wonderful. But the church moved again to a new facility in Yorba.
Yes,
and
yes.
that's wonderful. And we'll talk about that story
Sure.
later in the program today. But in the meanwhile, exactly in the year 2004, God blessed you with some relics of Saint Verena coming from Switzerland as a gift to your church.
Yes.
And to the Church of Saint Verena and the Three Holy Youth in the city of Orange. So 2 gifts. Mm-hmm. And I think about the same time, a third gift came to the Church of St. Maurice in Pomona, California, to the Church of St. Maurice. Now, it's a fascinating story. How did the relics of Saint Verena come from Switzerland to here?
Yes.
I'm so curious to know the details.
It's really, the credit goes to the young people in the church who had established a website for the church. Now we're talking about the website in 1997. This was way before Facebook and Twitter and social media, and the internet was just taken off. And it was a great idea, of course, to have that established for our church. And I received a cold call from a lady that lived in Connecticut. Her name was Mrs. Sunderland, Rosemary Sunderland. She passed a couple of years back, and she left a message on my answer machine, and she said, your church name, Verena, is the only name that I came across in the United States, and I grew up in her church in Switzerland. And if you're interested, I'd like to speak with you. I know a lot about Saint Verena, but I can't wait to hear from you, being the Coptic priest for the Church of Saint Verena. And she left a message. I called her back, and that was the beginning of a great friendship that we had. And she visited our church many times. And of course, when she passed, I made sure to go and attend her funeral and be with her children, whom she brought to visit our church incidentally throughout the years.
Wow, what wonderful ecumenical activity. It reminds us of the return of some relics of St. Mark from Venice to Cairo, Saint Athanasius, relics again from Venice to Cairo, and so on. So it's a good goodwill, symbol of goodwill from the Catholic Church to the Coptic Orthodox Church, and that's wonderful. So from that moment, you explained to us this encounter or friendship with Mrs. Sunderland, Rosemary, her first name, and that's so affectionate. Coptic civilization program, in my understanding, or I see it as a mission, is that the use of civilization and products of civilization for the glory of God. So your website created this opportunity.
Yes.
As much as God used the Noah's Ark to save the world. And Noah's Ark was a product of civilization. So the website of your church was used by God for salvation, for connection, for ecumenical friendship, for the relics of Saint Verena to come specifically to your church.
Yes.
And that is wonderful. And we should also remember with happiness that His Eminence, Metropolitan Serapion, when he was a bishop for ecumenical services in Cairo, before becoming a bishop of Los Angeles in 1995, he worked hard to receive relics of Saint Maurice and Saint Verena from Switzerland to Cairo. So now this is a second thing that happened, but by divine providence through the website and Mrs. Rosemary Sunderland. Then what?
We kept in communication for a couple of years almost. And then all of a sudden she called me up one time and she said, Father Joseph, I have of course, during that time, she had been translating a lot of her stories and pieces that were written about Saint Verena in German, and she was translating them for us in English. And then she announced that they have an extra relic, and it's the last one they have, and if we were interested to go and receive it. Of course, I was excited, but I told her I have to clear it with the Metropolitan of the diocese. So I called His Eminence, and he was very, very elated with the news, and he said, of course, we will go and receive. And we also inquired if they had a second one, and she had to call her brother, Mr. Sennhauser, Dr. Sennhauser. I think we will see him in some of the videos that we will be playing later. And he told her, for sure, we actually have two that are available for the giving. So immediately His Eminence announced that we can go and receive, and we set up the time. And it was around a little bit, a month or so after her feast in Switzerland. It's usually on the beginning of September, like September 1st or 2nd. And they have a great celebration in the city of Zurzach, where her church is. So Rosemary planned everything and contacted her brother along with Dr. Ruth, who are actually archaeologists who have been working on the finding of Saint Verena and her artifacts, because they discovered actually the actual place of the original church. And it turned out that her family is very well connected with the Catholic Church. They are very, very close. They were involved in the building of the church from a number of years earlier. And she made the arrangements for us to travel to Switzerland. And we took a blessed group of members from the congregation, along with several priests with His Eminence, and we went.
Wonderful, wonderful. We will show now video number 6 without sound or voice, and while Father Joseph narrates the events that are showing in the video. And later on, we will show videos with voice that explains the details of each part of these events. So we'll watch a video number 6.
So this is a crypt of Saint Verena, and this is her icon in the Catholic Church, in her church in Switzerland. And this is a group of the blessed members of the congregation that came in friends. This is a group of the Dutch people that came along. This is Father Cedric and Father Gregory, along with the Catholic priest in the yellow in the back. That's Father Zimmerman. And you see His Eminence along with the group of congregations. They offered us to give incense to the relic of Saint Verena. And these are the deacons guarding the entrance of her tomb. This is us traveling to Switzerland, and we are holding the arm that houses part of the relic of Saint Verena. You see it in a lot of the art books. It's a famous art piece. And this is actually in the church on top above the crypt. His Eminence receiving the relics from Father Zimmerman, who was acting on behalf of his bishop. And this is the actual relic in that arm that's open, in that little open door. This is one of the statues that they have. And here we offered them the icon of Saint Verena after the Coptic rite. And they were very delighted to have the icon of Saint Verena in the Coptic iconography. This is the actual relic that we received. This is the entry where we had a procession. And I think we'll see that in the video a little later. It's Father Zimmerman again. And this is a beautiful church that houses her relic. That's the high altar, and this is everyone standing around after receiving the altar. This is the actual body of Saint Verena lies in that crypt. And here's His Eminence with Father Cedric to follow him, the priest of Switzerland. And this is a close-up of the arm with the relic door open. And here is a picture of the two relics we received with His Eminence and His Grace Bishop Krollos. So many of the documentations were written in German, and thanks to Rosemary of blessed memory, she translated all that for us. That's her church. You can see it as soon as you get off the train. And this is another picture by the crypt. This is Mr. Nashad Benjamin. He's the one who was the official photographer and videographer, and you'll see some of his work later. This is her statue outside the church. That's Dr. Sennhauser, Rosemary's brother. He's an archaeologist, and he has a lot of material on Saint Verena. This is a group. Next to me is Father Zimmerman and Dr. Ruth. This is Father Zimmerman again. And when we got there, they showed us the artifacts and the original findings that they have for the Church of Saint Verena. And he actually took us to the actual site, and he showed us where the baptism was. And it was amazing to see something from the 4th and 5th century. That's Mrs. Rosemary Sunderland and her brother, and Dr. Sennhauser. And this is Dr. Ruth on the other side. They are very connected to the Church of Saint Verena. A group of the congregants, very excited. It was a great time. And after His Eminence gave a word, they invited us all for lunch. And we all went to a nearby restaurant and had a meal of love together. It was very moving to walk the streets that Saint Verena walked, as Rosemary took us on that walk, and she said it's very likely that this is the very road that she traveled when we went outside before going to receive the relics. And a funny story, some youth were apparently making fun of my clothes in German, and she called them over and she stopped And she brought them over and she rebuked them. And then she said to me, we have to teach the new generations how to respect clergymen and adults. This is all of us in the high altar. That altar sits above the crypt of Saint Verena. So in the church you walk in and the altar is very high up. And if you walk down, you go to the crypt.
Wow, what's fascinating. And we will see the other videos
Footage.
that explain each piece of this
Sure.
later. But Dr. Van Houser wrote a book about Saint Verena, or translated something from German to English? Or
No, he wrote a very thick book and he gave us a copy of that book. We
about
have it.
Saint Verena.
Yes, it's about the culture at the time and the civilization around which Saint Verena grew up in. And the Rosemary had tried to translate some of the important pages here and there, but her mission was to translate the whole book, but she
from German to English.
English, yes.
She started, but God bless her soul.
Yes, yes.
And may God reward her in heaven for her labor of love.
Yes.
In love of God and the saints and the Coptic Church.
Yes, yes. She was very excited to find a church in America that still actually values relics and venerate relics, and besides the Catholic Church. So she was very happy to work with us. She came and visited. She has a son that lives in San Diego who has 3 children. So she used to come every year or 2, and every time she came down, she made sure she would stop off and visit us.
That's from the year 2004 till recently, right?
She passed away in 2015.
So that's 11 years of friendship.
More, because she left us a message around year 2000, 2001.
Wow.
Yes,
okay.
yes.
That's a life of its own. Yeah.
Yes.
Wonderful. Wow. And of course, in this regard, there is literature about Saint Verena. I understand there is more than 70 churches in Germany and Switzerland named after Saint Verena.
Yes.
More than 70 churches.
She told us the name Verena in Switzerland is as common as the name Mary here in America.
My goodness.
It's very common to have Verena. She's very well known and loved in Germany, in Switzerland, and the neighboring countries as well.
That's wonderful. I have friends who named their children, their daughters, Verena, and one of them is in LOGOSTV. So,
very nice.
Thank God. Thank God for all of these wonderful things that are happening. And with your permission, we'll watch video number 1 about your visit to the village and of Zorzak.
Yes.
It's a town that we saw the sign of the train station, that you took the train from somewhere.
When we landed in Switzerland, in the main international airport, and then took the train and went to Zorzak.
So if I go to, say, Geneva or...
I think that's quite ways
away.
On the other side. Although Switzerland is not that big of a country.
Or Zurich.
Yes.
And take the train to Zorzak.
Yeah, it will
and
be
the
about
church
2
is
hours.
in front of the train station.
Yes.
Wow, it's easy to go.
Yes.
So in video number 1, we will watch the trip, part of the trip, until you enter the church in a procession with His Grace Bishop Serapion at the time.
To support the emperor in fury, Maximianus ordered they worship his idols, or they would be murdered. The soldiers all stood fast, adhering to their faith. None of them would obey. Martyrdom was their fate. Blessed Saint Verena, stranded in a faraway land, she was guided to stay to serve in Switzerland, devoting heard. She taught them health and care for their bodies and their souls. Her wisdom she did share, miracles she did perform. The sick their health regained, casting out many demons. Humble life she retained. Blessed Saint Verena, purity and chastity, you were symbol of true faith in Christianity. And when your time had come, leaving all those you served, heaven opened its gates. Come, O faithful, you heard throughout the Christian world. Churches in many nations were built after your name with great admiration. 16 centuries later, part of you to Egypt came. Your person we venerate, praising your blessed name. The meaning of your name is on the lips of the believers. All of them ask the God of Saint Verena to help us all.
To see,
what an event. I missed that. Wow. I wish I was with you, but now, thank God to civilization.
Yes.
We can watch the video.
Years and years and years after it was produced,
right.
yes.
So, of course, these videos that we are showing today are part of a bigger piece, longer videos that I hope one day would be available or accessible on YouTube or on the church website.
Absolutely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
that would be a great blessing to watch and show our second generation, and, and it's an exciting event. Again, I will continue to praise the Lord for all of this generosity. By divine providence, we receive so many gifts, and this is definitely one of them. Then, after this procession into the church, you went to the crypt under the church.
Yeah, under the altar.
Under the
high altar, yes.
Where the actual body of Saint Verena was buried in around the year 300.
Yes.
So that means 1700 years.
In the late 300s, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, and of course, we know that Saint Verena, it was habitual at the time of Saint Verena that families of soldiers, certain members of family, would travel with them to fight, not for them to fight, participate in the fighting, but in case in case their relative falls or his friends, they would take care of the wounded. And Saint Verena can be considered one, or her generation, the first nurse in the front line of the battlefield. And if you go to Wikipedia, for example, and look for the first nurse to serve in the battlefield, you will find the name of a British lady by the name of Florence Nightingale, who was part of, who accompanied the British troops in Turkey when England and Turkey were in alliance against Russia, unfortunately. And that was around 1850. And Florence Nightingale was the first nurse from a middle-class family, because nursing was like attributed to the lower class family, and it was very difficult. But she learned Egyptology, and she came to Egypt and spent time in Alexandria, and all the way from Alexandria to Luxor, to Thebes. And she wrote many letters from Egypt to her family that are treasures. And she was not the first nurse to work in the battlefield. Saint Verena was.
Hundreds of years earlier.
1600 years earlier.
Yes, yes.
So we need to learn our own history.
Yes,
and be in the public square, international square, telling the world about this Coptic spirituality, Coptic civilization. Because Verena not only went to the front line to take care of the wounded, but also stayed and preached the gospel and brought civilization and hygiene and health care and medical.
Yeah, when we went into the crypt, we sang a couple of Coptic hymns, praise hymns that we sing for the saints. And I was wondering if this was the first time she hears her native language, native tongue, when she heard us sing in Coptic, because she did come from Luxor, and she most likely spoke Coptic at the time.
Yes.
I think we have a video that shows that part of the video number 2 that has the praise of Saint Verena in Coptic in her church in Switzerland.
Right. Let us watch video number 2 then. I'm so
Just
happy
beautiful.
yeah, I'm so happy I could live with you in the video.
Yes,
So
yes.
happy.
And His Eminence give a beautiful word also when we received the relics, and he told everyone the story of Saint Verena and Saint Maurice.
And his personal relationship.
Yes, yes.
That's what will be in video number 4 if we can watch it now. Yeah.
It is a great personal pleasure for me, for the joy of this day, when I came to Switzerland in 1983. And as a preparation for my coming, I started to read about Switzerland. And I read about the Coptic saints who are in Switzerland, Saint Maurice and Saint Verena. And when I came here and they stayed in Einsiedel, the monastery, they welcomed me in great kindness. And one of the reasons that is they welcome a Coptic monk because they have also part of relics of Saint Maurice. And I felt through my service, even it was a short service for 1.5 years, I felt the special blessing of Saint Maurice and Saint Verena in helping my service, and it was a dream in my mind to let people in our church to know more about them and also to establish churches. But I couldn't imagine that is one day we have more than one church and also to carry the relics. And the first relics of Saint Verena came to us, it was in 1986, when a delegation from this church came to Egypt. And we received them, and we received the relics, and we brought the relics to His Holiness Pope Shenouda, who kept the relics in Amba Bishoy Monastery. And then we received another delegation with the relics of Saint Maurice. And we established the first church in the name of Saint Maurice and Saint Verena in Cairo, in Amba Ruiz area. And His Holiness consecrated this church in 1994. At that time, I was the Bishop for Community and Social Services in Egypt. And in 1995, just 1 year after, I was called to be the Bishop of Los Angeles, where I became responsible for a diocese and more freedom to establish churches. And we established a church in the name of Saint Verena, and these churches became 2 churches. And now we have 2 churches in Saint Verena, and after that we got a church in Saint Maurice. And last year we received the relics of Saint Maurice from Saint Maurice Monastery near Lausanne, and today we receive relics for the 2 churches in Saint Verena. So we feel protected and blessed by the relics, and we thank the congregation of the church here for their love and kindness and allowing us to take the blessing of the relic of Saint Verena. May her intercession to be with us and her blessing to guide us and to bless our service.
So, dear Abuna Joseph, you had this wonderful spiritual event with His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion and the fathers, Father Gregory Bichet and Father John Paul, who is now His Grace Bishop Kyrillos. And then you brought with you the hand of the statue.
No, just the relic.
The relic by itself. You flew back to Los Angeles, and you received the relic with veneration in your church.
Yes, yes.
Please talk to us about that and show us some pictures or videos.
Sure, sure. We arrived on Tuesday, October 19th, and I think you'll see in the videos, in pictures right now. You'll see that...
That's video number 7. You want it to be
yes,
seen now
yes,
while you talk,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. We arrived, a limousine was waiting at the airport and brought the relic to the church. And many of the Reverend Fathers from the diocese were here. Father Krolos, Father Isaac from St. Peter and St. Paul, Father Johanna from Archangel, Father Paul Magelli from St. Peter and St. Paul, and other deacons and friends and people who loved Saint Verena came, and we had prepared a reliquary for the relics that came, and we had prepared a place for the relics. A lot of people came that night. It was in the middle of the day, in the middle of the week, excuse me. But many people took the time to come to the evening vespers and received the relic of Saint Verena. The gentleman standing in the blue, that's our Archie Jacob now. And you'll see Father David Abdesaid also as a deacon. And here's Father Paul participating in the prayers. And it was a great night. It was a great evening. Everybody was awaiting the arrival of the relics, because we were gone for about 10 days or almost 2 weeks, and came back with the relics, and we had the procession with the icon of Saint Verena, and we placed the relics in the tube prepared for it, and we made the procession around the church, and everybody was able to take the blessing of the relics of Saint Verena for the first time, but not having to travel to Switzerland. It was right here in California. And this is the first Saturday immediately after, when His Eminence blessed us and came and prepared the spices for the first time for the relics. And Father Michael Gabriel was here, and Father His Grace Bishop Abraham, Father Isaac at the time, was also with us. And it was a great evening. It was a great gathering, and everybody got to take the blessing of the reliquary.
So this occasion, it's just like from outside this world. The saints intercede on our behalf before the throne of God, as the book of Revelation tells us, as the Old Testament and New Testament tells us. So Saint Verena is interceding on our behalf before the throne of God, and Saint Maurice, and a cloud of witnesses and martyrs, and ancient martyrs and modern martyrs. We are a church of saints and martyrs, and I have no excuse for my sins, given all of these witnesses. But also, beside all of these blessings, and Coptic identity was strengthened by the saints, by Coptic saints and Coptic martyrs. Besides that, this event, to me, shows that we are living an age of ecumenical fellowship, ecumenical love, ecumenical, according to Christ's will, that His disciples be one, not as regular humans, but as the Father and the Son are one. This is like superhuman unity that Christians should live.
Yes, yes, and I have to give credit where credit is due. His Eminence, Metropolitan Serapion, is extremely supportive in that field of ecumenical work. He's always encouraging us to participate, and whenever we receive an invitation to attend one of the ecumenical gatherings, he's very quick to support, and of course to make sure that it's nothing that is uncanonical or against the church teaching. For example, we are part of St. Mary and St. Verena is heavily involved with a group called Orange County Together, Orthodox and Catholics Together, Orange County. And this group that gets together, we meet about 4 or 5 times a year to plan for an annual prayer service. And this is a picture of one of the events, and it shows that you have the Catholic priests, you have Byzantine Catholics, you have Roman Rites, you have Antiochian, Armenian, Coptic, Melkites. It's a beautiful gathering. So this is a picture that we took at St. Paul Greek Orthodox Church, and I don't know if you can see, this is Father Steve Siklis here, He's the one who serves in that church. And this is what the service looks like when we have it that one time a year. We have congregations that come from different parts of faith, the Catholics and the Orthodox together. And you see the fathers sitting in the front together, and you see the congregation gathered. We have a prayer service that we sit together and carefully select so that there's nothing controversial or offensive to any of the members of the gathering. So all the prayers are agreed upon, and they are very consistent with our faith. The first gentleman standing in the picture next to the man whose back is to us, that's Father Al Baca. He used to be the ecumenical officer for the Diocese of Orange, and now he is in charge of the ecumenical office in Washington, D.C. for His Holiness Pope, the Pope of Rome. He was very, very supportive of this effort. And if you look at the far left on the other side of the picture, second to last, is Father Wong, who's taking his place, and he's continuing the ecumenical work. This is another gathering, and we always have the icon of Pentecost in the midst of us, because we feel like Pentecost is our hope in uniting and gathering everyone. And this is actually a picture of Bishop Kevin Van, the Bishop of the Orange Diocese for the Roman Catholics, and he invited us to dinner at his residence. And look at the variety of priests that are there from the different faith. And of course, the most important part of this is including our youth in these activities, and to bring them to see other youth, their age, same background. Basically, they are Christian, they are into church, they are in choir, they sing, they are asked to behave well and to be good, exhibit goodness. And it's not just the Coptic church, or it's not just the Egyptians. There's a bigger world out there. And many ecumenical things we do. This is one of the local council that's put on by Mayor Tom Tate, the mayor of Anaheim. He put together what is called ARC Leadership Committee, Anaheim Religious Community Council. And this is a group of people for which I had the privilege to serve for a while with them and be a part of that group, planning the meetings. We meet once every 3 months in Anaheim, and these are other members of the group.
That's
so this
wonderful.
is just a quick picture of some of the activities we do at the church.
Yes, at least we do our as much as we can to fulfill Christ's desire that his followers be one, as much as we can.
Right.
And you are the Diocese of Los Angeles, and you personally, Father Joseph, are doing a good job in promoting this. And as you said about young people, second generation, and also non-Christians who become Christians.
Yes.
We confuse them. We put a stumbling block in their way when Christians fight theologically against each other. And that betrays the non-Christian who became Christian and is suffering persecution from his previous co-religionists. They want to kill him, and he's coming to people who are divided. And we confuse them. Some of us tell him, oh, don't follow these guys because they are wrong, they are heretics. And the other guys tell him, don't go with these people because they are heretics. And what would that person do? Go back to his earlier religion or become an atheist? And the worst is when we talk passionately against each other. And that is not... So many young people went to university campuses, especially in places where there is no Coptic church, and there is no Coptic fellowship. And they found great help spiritually by friendship with Catholic or Protestant or
We hope that everybody goes back to the original teachings
Right,
of Christ.
right.
Go back to the first
Yes.
period of Christianity when it was just one church, the first
Yeah.
400 years, 500 years, and everybody would agree.
The good thing is that we are on the offensive. We are in the front line doing positive work.
Yes, we've realized that we are equally persecuted
Yes.
throughout the world,
Right.
and many Christians in different countries are dying for
Yes.
their faith, and that's part of why this group
Yes.
got together and said,
Yes.
it's in line with the direction of His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion, always trying to find
Yes.
a positive and a good that we can
Yes.
communicate and you can participate, leaving aside
Right.
the debates for the more prepared people to do
Right.
that.
Yeah, and even His Holiness Pope Shenouda III, and of course now Pope Tawadros II, are doing the same thing in Egypt.
Yes.
And we presented an episode before, earlier, a few months ago, with Father Kyrillos Ibrahim about the visit of His Holiness Pope Francis to Egypt and the Ecumenical Patriarch and the Christian Fellowship and Gathering. But your church is doing this ecumenical activity, but also I heard the good news about St. Luke Coptic Orthodox Academy
Yes.
in Yorba.
Yes.
And you actually established the church there now, St. Mary and St. Verena in Yorba, and you bought a land and buildings for the church and for a school.
Yes.
An academy.
Yes.
From grades what to what and where it is today and what's your present and dreams.
Sure. And that's a big question.
I'll divide it into 10.
Well, we're very, very blessed and fortunate to have the support and encouragement of His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion. The idea came when our old facility was getting very full, and we tried to expand, but there's no room to add parking spaces, and all the churches know that struggle we have. And the best we could do was to just accommodate for Sunday school, and we were able to do that quite adequately because it didn't require any extra additional parking spaces. But then the idea came and presented itself, the opportunity came, and we found this church that has a lot of land. It has a church kind of similar to the same size as the current one we had at the time, and in addition it had an operating school that goes from preschool to 8th grade. And it's over 3 acres of land. It has the buildings for the school, about 5 buildings, and it has a church and adjacent offices and room for a fellowship hall. So it was a great opportunity. We approached His Eminence and said, would Your Eminence be in support of something like this? And he really loved the idea of the school. And he said, you have the necessary skills, and you have, because we do have a lot of educators at our church, thanks be to God, and they would be able to navigate us, and we can consult with them, and he can tell us how the real world works in public schools.
Yeah.
And we were able to put together a team, and we presented the idea to the congregation and the board, and it took over a year to complete the sale. But everything was going according to God's plan and God's will.
It's wonderful. Even His Holiness Pope Tawadros, when he visited Australia a few weeks ago, he visited he visited more than one Coptic school in Australia, in Melbourne and in Sydney. And he emphasized the importance of building churches, schools, and other organizations, because Coptic spirituality and Coptic education and Coptic civilization and Coptic culture and Coptic monasticism, Coptic iconography, Coptic music, all of these are ingredients building each other, and we need all of them. They support each other.
Right.
And I enjoyed watching the video that your church put on your website.
Yes, yes.
About the school, and I invite the viewer to watch it with me again now. Video number 9.
I started off my school experience in a Christian private setting. Then I went to a public elementary school, and I went back to a Christian junior high. And finally, for high school, I went to a nationally ranked prestigious school.
This is my 4th year teaching. I'm a middle school math teacher. I've taught 6th through 8th grade.
In terms of adapting to the new school environment, I never really found it hard to make friends, but I never really felt that I fit in. I had trouble fitting in because I was always active in my church, and my closest friends were from church. But because they didn't go to school with me, the friends that I ended up making at school had different interests than I did.
We've been homeschooling for 3 years. This is our 3rd year now, since my eldest was in 1st grade.
I have 2 boys, they're 5 and 3, and they are not currently enrolled in the district I teach. They're enrolled in a Christian school. I work 2 jobs, both teaching and tutoring after school, in order to help provide for them and to allow them to be in a Christian environment.
The difference was that I was focused on my schoolwork and sports, and they were too, but they also had an additional interest in girls and drugs. And these people came from good families, and they were looking forward to college and a successful life.
She was actually in a Christian school. Actually, everything was great. I didn't have any complaints at all. We just wanted her to establish a more Orthodox foundation.
Having worked in the middle school environment for the last 4 years, I've seen a myriad of things that kids are exposed to. Some of the more disturbing things include drugs, violence where kids bring weapons to school. Kids are exposed to all of those things in a public school.
As a homeschooling mom, I'm always praying that we're doing the best for our kids, of course. And recently I came across an opportunity to join an Antiochian Orthodox co-op where other Orthodox families get together and the children participate in some enrichment classes. And it's great because the kids are taught by a different teacher. They get to socialize with other kids who share their same morals and beliefs, but yet are not from their church and not even from the same ethnic background, actually. So the kids love it. I'm really thankful for this opportunity because it bridges the gap between traditional schooling and homeschooling.
One of the saddest things I see is some very good kids get involved with the wrong crowd. Peer pressure tends to play a huge role. It's very intense, and kids tend to make poor choices and bad decisions that are against their morals and values.
Personally, for my 4 kids, I pray that they love to learn, that they're able to see God in every lesson, and of course that they are always seeking the kingdom of heaven.
Just as my ability to stay close to the church helped me stay on the right path, that the future generation will be able to combine their education with the church teachings. The prospect of an Orthodox-based education environment is a great idea in my eyes, because I believe that this is what will give children a chance to focus on God on a daily basis.
Yorba, California will be the future home for St. Luke's Orthodox Christian Academy. With your support, St. Luke will be the first Orthodox school serving children from preschool to middle school that are from all backgrounds and ethnicities. The mission of St. Luke's is to provide a high-quality education with credentialed teachers in a safe and caring Christian environment. Academic success and spiritual growth will be reached through teaching comprehensive curriculum and practicing core Christian principles. Proverbs 22:6 says, "Train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it." An Orthodox school provides the valuable opportunity for linking church to school and home. Today is the day that we plan for our future generations. We ask for your prayers and financial support in helping St. Luke achieve the fundraising goal of $2.8 million. Whether your support is small or large, on a monthly basis or a one-time donation, we request that you join us in asking God to bless the education of His children and that His words will always dwell in their hearts. If you would like to donate and receive more information and updates, please log on to www.stlukeacademy.org.
We've got about approximately 15 classrooms which will accommodate up to 168 students. This will also allow for future expansion and growth, which we have every reason to believe will be needed. The property is a wonderful flat piece of land, which is difficult to find in Yorba Linda. In the backside of the property, we've got 3 different playgrounds, which accommodate the daycare, the grade school, the junior high. The daycare itself has about 4 or 5 classrooms in it and can be reconfigured. So as you can see, we've got plenty of open space here for the kids. We've got grass fields, we've got a lot of trees on the property. We've got 6 different school buildings.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, and watching the video, Dr. Saad, is just, it's making me feel like, wow.
Yeah.
I really think that this is a fruit of the love of the congregation and the servants coming together and allowing this to be part of the future of our kids, because it's a dream. It really is, to have such a nice facility and to have such an opportunity. Every time I drive up to the church, I say, the people of St. Mary and St. Verena are just magnificent to have this vision and to sign on to this vision in the long term.
I admire your church for several reasons. But first, let me say that I like the word opportunity that you mentioned, because I heard a saying that it's a beautiful saying and very wise. Opportunities are not created. Opportunities are seized. Maybe it's very hard or impossible to create an opportunity. But if something falls in your lap, if something is close to you and you just, with reasonable struggle, you can achieve it, don't miss that opportunity.
Yes.
It may not come again. It may not come before 10 years.
And that's where my admiration to the congregation comes from, because it's a vision, and they see that in the long term, in 10 years, in 20 years. I remember a blessed member of the congregation, when I was sharing with him the news, and he said, Abuna, it's a no-brainer, to have this opportunity. In 10 years or 20 years, we look back and we say, we did well.
Many opportunities come and disappear, and then we look back and say, I wish we did.
Yes.
The second thing is, I was happy to attend in your church the ordination of Father Andrew Hanna.
Yes.
And God bless his ministry. And also Archdeacon Jacob Abdel Malik.
Yes, yes.
God bless his ministry.
Yes.
So you have a great team, along with the educators that we listened to some of them on the video of the St. Luke Academy.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Your plan to seize this opportunity, and now you bought the property. What's your plan over the years to establish that school? Is it all of a sudden or gradually?
No, we are, obviously it was a change of ownership. We didn't have a license to operate a school. Although something ironic, Dr. Saad, in 1999, we had the idea to start a school, and His Eminence was very supportive of it. And we were renting a church at the time. We didn't own the facility. And yet we went to the city and we started the application. But they required a lot of investments, and being a rented building, it didn't make financial sense to go through what they needed and then start the school, and then we might leave in a few years. But starting a school is a very, very old idea for the congregation, members of St. Mary and St. Verena. We plan to start with the preschool for now, because we missed the September deadline to have a full academic year. But we will open as soon as we secure all the necessary permits and licensing, and it should be easier because it was already operating as a school before. And we're going to start with the young ages from 18 months to 3 years. And we'll keep signing on as many as we can until next September, when we actually start the first academic year that is possible, maybe K4 and K5. And if we have more enrollments, we'll open grades as the enrollments come. Yeah. So hopefully every year we will be adding one grade at a time.
Yeah, I wish you all success. And I prayed, definitely I'll pray for the
we have great supporters for this project from the community and without as well.
Actually, with us on the phone now, Dr. Nabil Soliman, the servant of Christ in family ministry, and also himself is a psychiatry and family psychiatry, actually, a practicing physician, and who will talk to us. He kindly, graciously accepted my invitation to give us his reflection about the why Coptic immigrants need a school for themselves and as a contribution from them to the community, the American community they live in, like Santa Verena contributed to the Swiss community she lived in. Welcome, Dr. Nabil.
Abuna Joseph and Salam, Dr. Saad, thank you for inviting me and giving me the honor of participating in Coptic civilization.
Hello, Dr. Nabil. Thank you for your great support and encouragement for the project. You're one of the early supporters from early on.
Thank you.
Dr. Nabil, why this project is good for the Copts, is good for the Americans? You please expand on beyond my question.
Dr. Saad, how many hours do you need?
How many hours?
Okay. Our program is ends at 8:30.
Okay.
So you have 21 minutes.
All the time. I have 5 points very fast. The first point is after the eminent metropolitan Serapion came to our diocese, I think it was 1995. I think 1 or 2 years after that, there was a discussion and a meeting with him, with some teachers, and myself, I was included. And the idea, as Abu suggested, to establish a Coptic school. The discussion went into many ways, in education, how can we find it, who will work, eventually, curriculum, and so on. So the idea didn't take off at that time, and when Abuna Joseph made the announcement, I was very excited myself, and Abuna was so humble and loving to drive and come and meet me to explain the project, and I felt enthusiastic about it because of the past attempts that did not take off for many reasons. And I feel that for any project to succeed, we need a person or a group of persons who believe in the cause. And I feel Abuna Joseph is hard in the project. This is why we mobilized the group, we captivated the people, and we put the ideas together. And because when we talked about St. Luke Academy, we feel the energy. And I think I like that. Another point I would like to talk about also is the name. I think it is a very smart idea to call it St. Luke Orthodox Coptic, what's the name of it? Coptic Orthodox Academy, right?
Correct.
Yes. So I like the word academy. The fancy word is a bit much better than school. And of course, St. Luke is one of the gospel writers, very highly educated. St. Paul called him a physician. And St. Peter and St. Paul Church, I get the blessing of studying the Gospel of 2020. We've been doing that for 7 years, and we haven't failed. And I know that Luke, in his original writing, was very sophisticated in the language, historical accuracy. So the name, I think, was smartly chosen. There is a personal factor here, which I don't want to add to the history of St. Luke Academy, because God has given us, my wife and myself, 2 girls, adults now and married. But when they were younger, my wife and myself, we decided not to investing and estate and stuff, but to invest in them. We felt this is an investment with the best return on the money. And we looked around for the schools. There was no Coptic schools or Orthodox schools at the time. We ended up with the second best, which was the Catholic all-girls school. It was okay, but of course the cultural differences were always challenged. And I wish we had this idea a long time ago, because it's 50 a month for the private education that we invested in the Catholic Church. So my own struggle with raising my own 2 girls made me motivated to adopt the idea and encourage the idea. And I think, the education early on for the children is an investment that will last 50, 60, 70 years. It lasts the person's full life. And people will say that education will help the person to be a better Christian in this world, a good role model, can teach others, people can emulate him or her. Of course, education enlarges the thinking, broadens the horizon. Of course, the education can involve a second language, and usually highly educated people can do better financially than non-educated. So it has many, many benefits, and the departed Pope Shenouda had a golden statement. He said that the correct science does not contradict the correct faith. So if we are educating our children correctly, that will strengthen the faith and will send them to the world as witness to Christ.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you, Dr. Nabil. That's well said. And your reflection, Father, on what Dr. Nabil says.
Dr. Nabil was very right on in with his points about this is investments, and you put investments with opportunities, and if you have the right balance, you build great projects. This is definitely going to be a beneficial project for the community and for the Coptic Church, of course, by the blessing of His Eminence Metropolitan Serapion, and of course we can't forget the contributions and encouragements of His Grace Bishop Krolos, the Bishop of Education. He has graciously guided us and mentored us as we are navigating through this process, and he has graciously offered to be involved with the Orthodox, the baptizing of the curriculum that we choose. We will try to adopt a curriculum that is Bible-based, but definitely give it the Orthodox flavor. So when the teachers are teaching the lessons, or of course we're talking about young children, young ages, but when they give them the teachings, it will be the Orthodox teachings. We are hiring right now for the director position, and of course we're not discriminating against anyone's religion, but we do ask, do you feel comfortable sharing the Orthodox teachings with the children? So when Christmas comes up or Easter comes up, we're going to be talking about Orthodox concepts. Of course, you know, watered down to the level of little kids. We're talking about elementary school or even younger. So it's going to be very light flavor, but it's definitely the Orthodox teachings. Yeah. So the kids grow up from a young age, be familiar with these things. So we ask the potential candidates, do you have a problem? And most of them are Christian, and they love the Lord Jesus Christ, and they are very glad that we believe in the Lord Jesus Christ and the only Savior of the world, and it makes it pleasant.
What do you think, Dr. Nabil? Now that I have colleagues in the office who do not trust public schools, but they have homeschooling. So they either teach their own children for 10 years or so before they send them to public school, high school, and or even college directly, or a group of parents educate their children in community, like they have 5-6 families. And you, as a family psychiatrist, how this relates to the balance between being exposed to open society and firming up my religious life and spiritual life, spiritual morals, and then go directly to college or to high school?
I think the St. Luke Academy will resolve these issues, because homeschooling is a good idea and it is indicated in some special cases with children. But on the other hand, the child will lack social skills, how to relate to peers, how to relate to boys and girls of the same age, how to learn how to resolve conflict with them, how to play as a member in a group. So by establishing a well-organized, religiously based curriculum, I think instead of avoiding public school and retracting from them and going to homeschooling with the pluses and minuses, the healthy environment at St. Luke will solve this issue.
And this is part of the mission, Dr. Nabil, is that we have a highest standard for the curriculum and credentialed teachers to be hired in the school, as well as giving the children the basic Orthodox virtues, the morals of being a good Christian. And this is across the board. It's not just for the Orthodox Church.
So you don't take care of their brains only, but their soul. Absolutely. And their personality, and how to do good in the society and to themselves.
Yes, yes.
I was so impressed by the video by young people and mothers who sought the Christian virtues, and it is worth being in that environment, worth every cost.
Right.
Even one mother said, I would work 2 jobs to send my children to this school, to afford, and it's worth it.
There.
Yeah.
So as soon as I found out he was going to Milan, I got up and I started traveling there too. Milan is in another part.
That's okay. So, so Dr. Nabil, thank you so much for your contribution and for accepting my invitation to appear today, and hope to see you as we had the blessing and benefit from your previous appearances on Coptic civilization.
Thank you, Dr. Saad. Thank you, Abuna and Joseph, and good luck.
Thank you, Doctor, and please continue to pray for the project.
Yeah, we would meet again in a year and celebrate success.
God willing.
God willing.
God
yeah.
willing.
If I want to contribute to donation to St. Verena Church or and or St. Luke's Academy, St. Luke Academy.
Yes.
I go to the website on the screen, stlukeacademy.org, and donate.
You can
press donate
Yeah.
and support, because education is important. His Holiness Pope Shenouda asked for it. He's encouraged it.
Yeah.
And we saw success in Australia and
Canada.
Canada. And in the Diocese of Los Angeles, His Eminence, our beloved Metropolitan, supported other churches in Los Angeles area to start even preschool, which a few churches did.
Yeah, His Eminence is, of course, the president of the board for the school that we formed, because it's a separate corporation from the church. That way, everything would just be separated. And
under the diocese, under
course,
he was himself as
His Eminence is
as
the head of the board, of course, and it's under the diocese and under his auspices. We came together as board members, and we decided something very courageous. We decided to start the investment, and that included the preparation of the rooms for the new school year. There are certain things that are required by the state, certain types of toys, furniture, mats for naps, and all of that. And also the hiring of the director at an annual salary. And we're doing all of that, and we still don't have the license yet. But everybody knows part of the requirements is to have the director, so it's not really an extra thing we're doing. We have to do it anyways. But the fact that they're willing to invest the money, it's not a waste of money. People are not saying, let's wait and see. We're eager to get this project started, and they're actually going through the process of purchasing all the equipment and the furniture we need, and looking to hire the staff that we need. And we understand that maybe we won't recoup our expense for the first year, but this is part of investment.
Yes, yes. The Copts are famous for education. In the year 1900, in Egypt, 1/3 of all schools in Egypt were created and owned by Copts.
Yes, yes.
1/3. And the government was 1/3. And the missionaries, with all the might of Rome and America and England, missionaries sent to Egypt, 1/3. So the Copts, with limited resources and limited percentage in the population, contributed 1/3 of Egyptian education in the year 1900. So even a famous story my father used to tell it, that in one village in the province of Gharbiya, a Copt in the village, Burma, known as Hissat Burma, famous for something else, established a high school in Burma, the village, before the government established the high school in the capital of the province, Tanta. The city of Tanta, the capital of the province, did not have a high school. It happened after a Copt established a high school in the village. And that's why the Copts in that village, because they were the majority, became doctors and CPAs and teachers, and were very well educated. And I met one or two of them myself, became famous in Alexandria, because a rich Copt in that village established a high school.
Wow.
So the immigrants in California are no less 100 years later
influential
to be looking forward and building for the future of the second generation, and experiment, take risks with education. We maybe even one family spends on education per year, if they have 2, 3, 4 children, maybe 5 families, that the money they spend is almost the same as the donation needed for your school. So it's not a big deal. If I always say if every Copt donate $1 from the entire United States, so you will get all the money you need for the success of the school.
Thank
We
you, Dr.
would
Saad.
like to hear from you, dear Abuna Joseph, a concluding remark on this blessed episode under the title St. Verena, from Switzerland to Yorba, California, and the blessing of St. Verena brings with it St. Luke Academy, St. Luke Coptic Orthodox Academy.
Well, first of all, let me take this opportunity to thank you for your blessed invitation. It has documented what has been going on for many years, and years later we can look back at this episode, and thank you for putting everything together. I really, really appreciate it. And on behalf of St. Mary and St. Verena congregation and servants, I thank you for your great encouragements and support. I wanted to just leave with these remarks that we don't want to set out children that are isolated and put in a shelter somewhere, and then when they're finished with our hopes and dreams are to go to the 8th grade, as the school was operating before, up to the junior high. We don't just want to put the kids in a shell and then they are protected from foul language, from bad thoughts, from atheistic views, from immoral actions, and then we cut them loose and they are paralyzed. They don't know what to do because it's the first time they come in contact with public attitudes and behaviors and what is permitted and what is not. Our aim and goal is to build up true Christians who have the right moral compass, and they have the great value system by which they can answer the questions on their own, what is right and what is wrong. Yeah. So when a child is brought up in, some might say, sanitized environment, where we encourage goodness and we encourage virtues and train our children to be good to one another, be kind, be respectful, be obedient, be compassionate, be humble. All of these virtues used to be taught in the school system and in the universities. Unfortunately, nowadays, these entities are more politically charged, and goodness is measured by, are you politically correct or not? Not did Jesus Christ say to do this or not. So we want to help build our children in such a way that when they come out of the school, they are ambassadors to the world.
Yes.
They are strong in their faith, and we don't worry about them coming in contact with atheism in college or people challenging their faith. They will have been rooted really well. We will have planted the seed, watered the seed, and watered it plenty.
That's wonderful, wonderful. So you have an excellent vision.
Thank you.
Yeah, excellent vision. And
I'm not alone. I have a great group that is doing this. I'm just watching. I don't do anything. I'm standing back and they are doing all the hard work.
I felt it when I go and worship in your church, the way the congregation is warm in the worship, especially during the Eucharist distribution. I hear the whole congregation singing together in a very in unison, in harmony, and in strong voice, praising God.
This is actually due to the deacon school that we have established in our church by the blessed servant George Mikhail, who started this generations ago.
Right. I respect him so much, Mr. George Mikhail, and he's a scholar also in Coptic music.
Yes.
And teacher, and dedicates time to teaching. And that is an evidence that the Copts did not migrate from Egypt to America for selfish personal benefit or to build professional expertise or financial self-satisfaction, even if it happens, but they have greater goal, deeper thoughts. They carry in their blood the 2,000 years of Coptic spirituality and 7,000 years of Coptic Egyptian civilization. And they manifest this in their worship, in their singing, in their iconography, in their schools established for public education, in their monastic life, like the monastery of St. Anthony in the Mojave Desert in California, like the architecture of churches, like establishing communities, like the unit of the family as building block for Coptic civilization. And I can speak for hours, or actually, this is our 38th episode in English for Coptic civilization. I invite the viewers to go to YouTube and search for the Coptic civilization. You will find 38 episodes in English and 50 episodes in Arabic. And again, thank you so much, my dear Father Joseph Boules, Higumenos of Santa Mary and Santa Verena Coptic Church in Yorba, California. And may God reward you.
Thank you, Dr. Saad.
Actually, you just opened a whole ideas about other episodes with you in the future.
My
So
pleasure, my pleasure.
It would be my honor and blessing.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Our viewers, thank you for watching Coptic Civilization. See you next episode. And this program is repeated on Wednesday, 2 a.m. and noon time, and on Sunday at noon as well. And please consider a donation to St. Luke Academy and also to LOGOSTV. LOGOSTV comes to you by satellites, by internet. It has expenses, so please participate in the expenses of LOGOSTV so you may receive such programs for your benefit and for your family's benefit and for the glory of God worldwide via electromagnetic waves radiated from LOGOSTV and carrying the message of the gospel. May God bless you. I'm your brother, Saad Michael Saad.